Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar with our incredible Education Subcommittee member and the lead on this social media marketing resource, Lily Allen-Duenas. Lily's going to show us the key parts about this member-developed resource, how you can leverage it, how it was developed, and answer some of your basic questions as well, because Lily has good expertise on social media marketing, hence why she was so deeply involved and important to this initiative. We are really grateful for all of our TPA members, and we have subcommittees that are formed to develop these types of resources. So we always welcome your feedback, your comments, and your questions. You members are the experts. Anywho, I'm Amanda. You are all wonderful, and I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Lily.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm so excited to be here with you all today and talk about this podcast social media marketing guide. So we had this in the works here in 2022 with the education committee. I did spearhead this, but I was very grateful for the support of the entire committee, which helped really glue it all together, add in some graphics, elements, links, and all the fun stuff to make it what it is now. But before I actually scroll through it, I just want to mention where you can find it. So if you go to the podcastacademy.com, then you go to that top right-hand corner, a little blue square that says member login. You click on it, you put in your login credentials, and then the member back portal will pop up. So then there's a navigation bar there. You click on resources, and then after resources, it'll pop up populate a fresh page. You'll go resource guides to podcast social media marketing. There's 3 resource guides available as of today on the resources page on the social, or the resource page on the Podcast Academy. So from there, just you can check out the monetization guide. I think that one's really fabulous. I haven't seen anything else like that going around. And then the marketing guide. So this was kind of a branch off of the marketing guide, which was a little broad brushstroke. This one really hones in on social media marketing. You can use it there. Oh, you can also download it for free. So you can just save it to your desktop, no questions asked, which is great. So you don't have to just always be viewing it by going through all of those steps to get there. So from here, this is just page 1, exactly what you download if you went there today. So this is just the page 1. As I mentioned, we had some great social media committee guide members who were helping put this together. A little bit on the Podcast Academy, and then in the table of contents, you'll see that there's some good stuff we're going to cover. We're not covering every single social media platform underneath the sun, like Snapchat's not included in this. We really, part of this guide, it was kind of encouraging people to really just pick 2 or 3. I think everyone knows that when we're trying to do everything on social media, it's fatiguing, it's draining, and it's watering down our efforts. While there is amazing CRMs like HubSpot or Buffer or Later, these technologies that help us schedule to multiple platforms at once, that's amazing and super helpful. But probably we've all realized that it's not just about the posting. It's about the conversation that goes with the post. So while you can be posting to all the social media channels using these CRMs, you're welcome. We invite you to kind of focus your efforts on just 2 to 3. So that's why we talked about Facebook pages, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, Twitter, and YouTube. And so you'll find that we're kind of approaching it almost like you've never used these before. So it starts at that very, very beginner level of just saying, like, defining what is Twitter, how does Twitter work, or what is, and also we wrote the Twitter one pre Elon Musk. So if anyone out there knows of all the happenings, there's been some big changes. But there's no mention of Elon Musk or any of those changes in this document. It is also great for me to mention that if there is something you find in this document that is outdated, or you wanted to say, hey, that is a change. Elon Musk has come in and taken over Twitter, and here's the new rules. Let us know. And also, you're welcome to contribute parts and chunks and sections yourself to this. That's why it's an evolving document. It's always good. I'm sure Amanda will do her level best at letting everyone know when we update these documents, so you can re-download them and check out anything new that's added. But they're evolving, they're shifting. This is just version 2 and the first published iteration on the TPA website. So we're excited to see what comes up next. Because even I know that the TikTok section here, I said I'd written that the maximum length of a TikTok video is 1 minute. That's no longer true. The maximum length is up to 3 minutes. So there's things like that it's just like, man, social media is always changing. And that's the first thing we actually talk about, that social media really changes. It really does. It's always evolving, always shifting, and it has so much potential for podcasters. Also in the introduction, we really do dive into the fact that we really want social media to feel healthy for you. Social media can be so toxic, and there can be so much of a drain on us emotionally and mentally when we're always on that little square box and always scrolling and looking for likes and trying to learn new things. And we spend 2 hours making a video that gets 5 likes. Like, I understand that this is fatiguing, exhausting, and hard. And so that's why we definitely wanted in the introduction to just spotlight that. It is not an easy thing, and it can feel really icky. So we want you to set the boundaries you need to make it work for you. Because social media is really successful when it's social and when it's about that conversation. It's not like any other type of advertising or marketing out there. So when you're using social media for marketing, even though you are a brand or you are a podcast or you are a business, you still have to think about the social element of it and the you element of it, because what actually is successful on social media is your face. People's faces, cats, babies, animals, fun things, like that's going to be very successful. So when you're thinking about what content to create, which we do cover here in this guide too, what content works on social, it's good to think not about, oh, well, I'll just make an audiogram, which we talk about very lightly here in the guide. But if you're familiar with an audiogram, it would be like a pull sound from your podcast. So maybe a 15 to 30, 60-second sound bite. And that if you don't record any video, it would be probably paired with a flat background and then some words coming across the screen. I'm sorry if my technology is glitching just right now. My laptop is officially transitioning from daylight mode to evening mode. I saw everything go dark on the screen for a second there. So that transition probably was that. Okay, so then we'll go into the fundamentals, like what is the purpose of social media? Sharing, learning, interacting, and marketing. Definitely, it's that nice acronym SLIM. So when you start with social media, or even if you're totally seasoned veteran, it's always good to kind of come back to sharing, learning, interacting, marketing, to going through your process of why am I here? Why am I talking? What's my target audience? And also doing those analysis of other podcasts. That's amazing to say, okay, I have a true crime podcast. What other true crime podcasts are out there? What are they posting? What is successful that they're posting? What types of content? And right now, I think we all know that video is king. So anything we can do with micro video content on any of the social media platforms, even Pinterest is going more towards video these days. So it's always good to revisit the basics and revisit some of those questions, which are also included here in the introduction. There's some really nice questions there for reflection. So then after that, we dive more into the social media platforms individually, kind of defining them. What's the difference between a Facebook page and a Facebook group? What works there? There's rules in a group. Don't know if you knew that. That's fun. You get to set them for your own. Instagram, we talk about pretty in depth a little later on, which is good because now here's just, as you can see, short paragraphs with little definitions. And again, no mention of Elon Musk. Here, the YouTube as well. And then now we have, here's some basic instructions for getting started. So it's just some good practices. Like, of course, creating an account with a consistent username is great, good bio, nice images. And if you don't have the ability to, use Canva and you just don't trust yourself to create your own graphics or kind of your own brand kit, it's never a bad idea to reach out to the on the Slack channel to the Podcast Academy's whole community, because a lot of our podcasters are diverse and have diverse talents and are also graphic designers and can step up. I'm actually a designer myself. So I know that there's others out there who can always lend a hand, or we'll do some freelance work if you need anything. So other with social media, the basics, here's a really good nugget to just mention today is it really is about building that community, not about getting followers. So I know one of our amazing attendees today had a very niche podcast in the past. What a powerful community. Like that is so amazing to have these loyal listeners and loyal people who are engaged with your podcast and hopefully engaging on social media. Are you posting questions? Are you asking them their opinion? Should I ask, should I get this guest? Or if I had this topic, would you like it? Just kind of involving them in the process. And if you have any Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee or any other accounts, maybe you're posting those there. Consider maybe posting some of them on social as well. Trying to move people over to social is a good strategy. It's also not just about advertising. Like it's not just your cover art over and over and over again saying, listen to the episode, listen to the episode, listen to the episode. We're going to want to make sure we're adding value. So there's some good rules here, some good mention on the algorithm. And then we also do recommend to focus on your niche and to kind of share different types of media content, use of CTA, which stands for call to action. If you're not familiar with a CTA, here's a couple examples. If you were to Google good CTA, strong CTAs, that will populate on Google like confetti. So there's lots of good ones out there. We made a few fun little notes. So if you wanted to, add a note too, you're welcome to help us evolve this document. And we also provided some social media marketing further links in case anyone was interested in digging in a little bit deeper, because this definitely in 10 pages covering, 6-ish social media platforms, that was quite a task. But we wanted to make sure everyone kind of had that broad brushstroke. Then we went in a little bit more in depth with saying some best practices, some resources, some tips and tricks. And as I did mention, it's evolving. So make sure you check back periodically or check the Slack channel. I'm sure Amanda will flag updates or if there's anything you see you want to be added. So again, it's free to download. It's on the TPA website. It's with the other resource guides in the resource section, and it evolves. So that's kind of my spiel on the social media marketing guide. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I'll see if Amanda wants to hop on and field any questions or what other fun shenanigans we can get into here.
Fun shenanigans. That should be our tagline here at the Podcast Academy. I love it. And thank you so much. This is just exceptional work. I can't believe how many hours that you all volunteered into putting this together. As Lily shared, I definitely recommend taking a look at the member website. It is pretty much a great spot to check out past recordings, including Lily's amazing talk on social media marketing that I think you gave earlier this year, or maybe it was last year. There's also a really great talk by Judy Tsui, who talked about empathy-based marketing. And I think that what really resonated was, Lily, your point that building community doesn't equal just amassing followers. You've got to engage with them. And that's the whole point of this guide. I see a really great question from Jason. Jason from Beijing. Thanks for being here very early or very late over there. Would you want to come on mic, or shall I read your question aloud from you? Feel free to use the chat if that's easier for you.
Yeah, I'm happy to come on, Mike. Thanks, Lily and Amanda, for doing this. And sorry, I'm just waking up and my kids are still asleep. So it's cold here. My question was about if it's best to really devote your energy into one social media platform or to try to diversify as much as possible.
Awesome question. So there are CRMs out there, these technologies where you can subscribe for $7 a month or $30, for HubSpot, Buffer, Hootsuite. There's a lot of different options out there, so that if with one click of one button, you can kind of populate your social posts to lots of different channels. So for clients, I work in HubSpot, but for myself, I usually am using Later or the Meta Suite if I'm just doing some complex posting for Instagram and Facebook simultaneously. So my advice with that is, if you want to just kind of, if you feel like, if I'm not on every channel, then that if it doesn't feel great, if you feel like you're missing out on opportunities, then by all means, you can click a button and have everything post everywhere. However, I think it's really important that we remember that it is about that community building element. And so while we can post on every channel, I do think you should really focus on honing in on 1, 2, or maximum of 3. If you're dedicating just on your calendar, you have 30 minutes a day for an engagement. And I love creating boundaries and guardrails like that. Because when you say, oh, I'm just gonna, engage, it's so easy to just sap away your hours, because what is social media and this amazing device designed to do but do just that, suck the attention in. That's what it is engineered by thousands of people to be as addictive as possible. So it will just suck your time if you're going to just be posting and responding and jumping in and, oh, I'm just gonna, maybe if I post that or I should respond to that. Like, I love the guardrails. So that's why I think 30 minutes to an hour, you can bookmark it or bookend it, beginning and end of day, 15 minutes each, just kind of having those timers set so that you are being present and engaging. But the kind of the secret sauce of that then is I do love scheduling my posts ahead. So if I sit down for a full 8-hour workday, I knock out all my posts for the entire month. Then that 15-minute bookends or the 30-minute block is just dedicated to community engagement or anything kind of happening in real time for stories, micro videos, like responding to DMs and things like that. But I just do want to mention it's super important. And I'm so glad that, Jason, you fielded this question, because it's very important to get your real estate, you're claimed on every single social media platform right now. So if you have a podcast, we'll say it's called You Cat to Be Kitten Me, Right Meow. If that's your podcast name, which is fabulous, then steal that, that handle at every single social media platform. So even if you decide, hey, I don't want a Pinterest, hey, I don't want a Snapchat, still just grab that real estate, because the way that billions of people are using these social medias, it's, if you have @cat podcast, even something simple, it's going to be gone like that. So just mark that territory, which is the funny animal pun in a way. Mark the territory and then keep your territory. And then you can decide later if that would work for your community. And how do you pick which ones you're on? Just whichever ones you think your community is most involved with. If you are engaging predominantly with Gen Z, you got to be on TikTok. Like, it's kind of not negotiable. If you're going to be maybe in the baby boomers generation, that's most likely Facebook. So it's just kind of considering who's my audience, where are they hanging out, and how can I hang out with them? That's kind of the best advice.
Thank you so much. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. I love hearing that. And, I went through the free HubSpot Academy for social media marketing a couple of years ago. It's certainly not super fresh because, as you named, Lily, it's very constantly changing, the landscape of platforms and how they're run and how to use them. But I think that's super, all of these points are really great. And again, thank you, Jason, for that question. Jody, I invite you to share a really good tip to this point, if you mind coming on mic.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Jody, and I'm the executive producer for a kids podcast called Dork Tales Storytime. And we do a lot of work. Our host is autistic and a union voice actor, and also my son. And so we, community is everything for us. And so what I have done, even in the work that I did prior to starting the podcast, is I use a scheduler, and we're on all the platforms, but TikTok, our audience really isn't on TikTok. We're trying to reach the parents of kids. And so what I do is I post, I strategize, think of what we want to do, the different kinds of things we want to talk about that aren't just about, us. And schedule them, post them, populate them in our network. And then where I spend the rest of my time, once that chunk is done, is then every day I go on. Sometimes it's as little as 15 minutes a day. And that's where I engage with the community, talking to them about the things they're posting about. We have teachers and parents and other podcast creators in the kids genre. And so that's where we really kind of build community, but all that sort of grunt work of different posts and things, I use a scheduler.
Really on point differentiation in terms of the time management. Sorry, Lily, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that's great. Your comment was great too, Amanda.
We're all doing our thing here. I love this crowdsourced knowledge. That's what we do at TPA. Thank you, Jody. And I wanted to reference something earlier. Chris had named in the chat that you want to be intentional when you stake your claim. I know that those schedules can sometimes synchronize posts and blast them in some iteration to all of them. And to add on to all these really good points, I think there's different audiences. Certainly, Jody, if you're working with young kids, there's age restrictions and a lot of the actual onboardings for some of these platforms. So those are things to bear in mind too, from what I've noticed. And then I have my partner's a content creator and has markedly noticed the return on investment, if you will, the time and energy is very different in terms of the translation to community. For example, on TikTok, what does it mean to have 500 views? Versus Instagram, where you're like, wow, that's some serious engagement, and that does mean people have eyes on it. These are all just things nobody, that special sauce is being figured out right now. People like Lily, like a lot of us in here, quite, have a full-time job focusing on that and helping clients navigate through that. But, Brad, you mentioned you wanted to stack on a comment. I invite you to jump in and share that.
Yeah, first I wanted to just make a comment about staking your claim on every social media. I even, nobody uses LO at all, but I still have my name there and LO. Probably half of you never even heard of it. And for those that, I am off TikTok, but the safe thing about TikTok is you can reactivate within 30 days of canceling. So I go back every 28 days and get back in and log back out, because who knows who's going to own it in 6 months. But that's beside the point. My question is, I'm primarily using Instagram because I'm a firm believer you should only be on one or two and focus primarily there. And I'm doing a lot more reels. And I know that now Instagram will severely restrict anybody that has a TikTok label on it. And TikTok is now doing the same with Instagram. But if you load them separately, I've still been told by people it's considered bad form to have one video on TikTok and the same video on Instagram. And I'm wondering, is that really true? Does it really make a difference? I mean, if I make a video for Instagram and it fits TikTok, why not just throw them?
I agree with you, Brad, in the sense that it's like, why not put it over there, right? So I think that every single time that you post a reel or a TikTok, it's like buying a lottery ticket. It's just, it might, explode or go viral, or there's no harm in double posting as long as you said there's not the logo. If you have that TikTok logo on Instagram, the Instagram logo on TikTok, and the way to bypass that, if someone's unfamiliar with this, is when you're creating the video, either just record your content on the phone normally and just save it to your camera roll, and then you'll have it for 2 different places. But if you want to save it without those logos, you have to save it before you post it. Once you've actually posted it, it has been branded, but there's a download button on TikTok. I keep doing this, but it's on TikTok and Instagram on either the bottom of the page or the top of the page, where you can just download that, but it won't have your music. That's the key, is that you'll have to refine the music on the platform that you're not originally shooting with. So I think that, Brad, is if you're just double posting it without the branded marks, you will not be suppressed. Neither of the social media platform have a way to kind of understand that that's been double posted. However, are your followers identical? Let's just pretend you have 100 followers precisely. Are those 100 also TikTok and Instagram? If that's the case, then maybe you're not serving them fresh content, and maybe they're like, oh, the same thing on 2 channels. But if someone's using a CRM just to post the same exact thing on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn every single day, then it's not different. I will say it's a good strategy though, and it's kind of like Jenga. But to post, let's say, if you're not doing super time-based content, if you're doing more evergreen, let's say you post one thing on January 1st, post it again July 1st. No one will remember. And then if you're posting that January 1st, July 1st, if that's going to be like something just about informational, about different frequencies of cats' meows. So if you're going to be doing that, and on January and July on Instagram, then on Facebook, why don't you do that February 1st and August 1st? And then on LinkedIn, why not do that March 1st and October 1st? You know, it's the staggering of actual content release that I found to be very successful with viewers, because there will be crossovers, even if it's not the same 100 of your, if that's the example, the true 100 followers on two different accounts. Then maybe you have 25%. And I think having that diversity of posting is Jenga. Oh, great to see Jody. I'm happy to see that works for you guys too. So definitely, I would say just trying to stagger is very successful. And it just involves kind of selecting different dates, which most CRMs will let you do. And I think I'm going to show you what's on my desk right now. Whew, sneak peek into my life. But I have a printed calendar out, and I just like check which dates, kind of if I'm going to be staggering something very complicated. And I know it's like, wow, I have this one type of post. I want to make sure it's kind of covered in every month on different platforms. I get highlighters and I just kind of color code it out on an actual printed calendar, a year calendar. So I find that to be effective for me.
Well, I did look at celebrity accounts, and the thing is, celebrities can get away with a lot more than we can. And I did notice they're posting the same exact thing on both. I wasn't the least bit interested in TikTok, but I know a lot of people now in their 70s that are loving it. And I randomly started looking at things like life coaches that are just sitting there. They're not dancing and lip syncing. They're just sitting there talking, and they're getting a massive following. So TikTok is changing. So I figure I might as well get in before it really hits.
I love that, Brad. That's very brave, because if anyone knows, video content is stinking scary, especially when it's us, and you don't have to have that pressure. Thank you, Brad, to be dancing and like making silly videos where, you know, pizza is thrown at your face or you're getting slapped with a tortilla. Like there's very silly things, and that tortilla slapping competition is very real on social if you haven't witnessed it. But there, you don't have to do that. You can just sit in front of your computer and you can just make a quick time video recording, and then you can crop it and you can just clip it into 60-second bits and do a whole segment. Just, you can have 5 minutes, or now TikTok allows up to 3 minutes. Instagram, I think, is 6 now. That one you can't quote me on. I just double checked the TikTok length today though. But I would just say, just feel free to kind of experiment with the format. Like, what can you do that's creative and that feels right for you? So if you're serving a cat community, why don't you just take you can have cat backgrounds and you can be pointing out cats, or you could be trying to have your partner hide a little photo of a cat somewhere in your apartment, and every day you're just trying to find this photo of this cat every day, and your partner's just following you around with the camera as you're mad dash searching for a cat. So like, how can you have fun? Make it not feel icky and yucky and hard, and it will feel icky, yucky, and hard. It's almost unescapable, because it takes time, and it's actually a little heartbreaking how much time can go into certain reels, especially if people are doing outfit changes and location changes. I just will watch a 10-second reel or 30-second one and think that took them 4 hours. And that's very hard, because with us, I mean, a lot of us are probably one-man bands, one-man shows, and our time is so precious. And to say, do I have time today to dedicate 3 hours to make something that may get 10 views, may get 100 views, may get 1,000? Like, it's hard for that investment. So I just want to acknowledge that again, that this is really hard. And it's so brave to show up, and so brave to kind of nurture and nourish a community in a social space. So just like clap and applause for everyone who's trying.
I don't know if y'all noticed, I'm totally geeking out and going bonkers over these cat references. Anybody who's been in any of the sessions knows kitty cats come up quite a bit. I'm loving, Brad, how you named that, you know, the audience and the engagement of the actual people on the platform is definitely changing. Paulette in the chat also mentioned that certainly like different platforms have different types of audiences and they use it differently. And I'm also hearing the clearer creativity that Lily, you have. I wish I could hire you to help me strategize all of these great posts. That's amazing, because what is that? Necessity is the mother of invention. And I can't think of a more inventive, creative community differently than podcasters. Y'all are just incredible on that type of stuff. And trying to think of any other, I don't think I missed any other questions here, but I was wondering if, Lily, you had any closing comments or thoughts. I just loved your emphasis on please do not dedicate all of your creative energies and your physical energies, because this is physical work. I mean, you're crouched over a computer on this, but anything else that you wanted to point out or sections to highlight based on what came up in this conversation in this amazing resource guide y'all made?
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, yeah, it's just been such a joy to be with you guys today. I've loved the questions and I've loved keeping an eye on the chat, and Victoria's last comment of being yourself on TikTok. Yes. Maybe I haven't like highlighted that enough, to be yourself. You know, you can create kind of a persona if that feels more protective of your heart and your vulnerability as well. Like if you feel like you need a little, do you need to be a little sassier? Do you need a little bit more professional? Like whatever you need to show up. But I do encourage you to still be yourself as much as you can. Have fun and make it something that feels really yours, and like yours and the communities, of course, that you're creating. So last piece of advice that I didn't actually mention in the guideline is lighting really does matter. Kind of, if you're going to be doing any videos, I would recommend so strongly go to Amazon, get a ring light. The one that I have, it's a tripod and it has multi-levels, and it was $35. So really it's affordable in the terms of you don't have to invest $100, $200 in any type of light, but I do think it's a little, it's pretty important. Great to hear, Brad, about Flick for social stats. Hootsuite, yes, there is social stats, and on every single CRM, you'll find different social stats are available to see, but you really will never get like the juiciest nitty gritty details of all the social stats unless you're on the platform itself, because every single social media platform has analytics or like a business suite. You know, there's some business tools, like there's going to be different names, but that's where you're going to get like that micro data that would be really indicative of like who's your audience, instead of just age chunks, time chunks. That's going to be given on any type of Hootsuite, Blade, or Buffer, especially if you're paying for a kind of the premium. There might be like a starter for $7, premium for $30. The more you level up, the more data they can cull for you. But if you get into the platform that you're most loyal on, you'll find your data there. So lighting's great. Love the staging comment about it, Amanda, too. If you don't want to do, this is also maybe a silly, tiny little thing, but if you don't want to always outfit change, I love that some accounts, like they're known for always being the person wearing a pink blazer. They are always in one outfit only. So don't also feel the pressure to be like, I have to change. I'm making 3 videos today. I have to change my outfits for 3 different, no, you don't. Like, you don't pressure yourself, especially when it comes to, I have to do that or I have to do that. Just make it as simple as you can for you. Wear the same outfit, have the same background. Maybe your background's going to be a $7 mandala tapestry you bought off of Amazon, you know, like just make it cool, make it yours, and don't stress too much about doing too much, you know, as much as you can to be yourself, have fun, and make it simple.
I love it. Wiser words, wisest words among wise words here. Again, everybody, please definitely check out this social media resource guide. I'm going to do a real quick plug as well. How did Lily become part of this brain trust? Lily, tell me how did you get involved? Who else worked with this on you, and name, and what motivated the creation of this in the first place?
Well, thanks. Yeah. So I first got involved with the TPA Podcast Academy in general year and a half ago. And I actually was the interim executive director of the State of Women Institute, which partnerships here with the TPA. So in that role, we started partnering with TPA, got to know Michelle Cobb, who's in charge of this, shindig. And then when she invited me to come on, do a webinar, when she got to know more of my background in marketing management and brand stewardship. And then from that, I was like, hey, if you need more help with stuff. And she said, oh my gosh. So I just kind of got connected in just like kind of a very authentic, visceral way. And I think that's the beauty of the Podcast Academy, that if you want to get more involved, if you want to help, if you want to say, hey, I'd love to actually talk at a webinar, or hey, I'd actually love to help put together a guide on the best outfits possible to wear on Reels, or, you know, anything you want to contribute. I think there's space for that. And we love, and Amanda loves, like, amplifying voices and helping us all kind of leverage our collective knowledge for the betterment of all podcasters. So with this resource guide specifically, Nina CV was kind of the first editor who really came in and, like, you know, stripped stuff down and helped kind of point some stuff out that needed to be tweaked. And then Becky Celestina, she was the committee chair at the time, the education committee. So she definitely took the bull by the horns and really steered everyone. Julie Magruder, Jay Green, Ryan Rose, Chris Mutz, Maddie Stout, Tom Singer, and Steph Coburn. And I know I mispronounced some last names there. So, like, hugs, high fives, and handshakes for everyone who I accidentally mispronounced. So we all kind of came together and made this magic happen. So thanks, Amanda, for holding space for us. And thank you, everyone, for coming today.